Imagine for a moment, oh, finally it's spring, the United States. Oh my goodness gracious. Maybe the snow has just melted for you. Time to take a break. You're going to stand up, you're going to go outside, you're going to kind of stretch your legs, take a walk. Maybe you're looking at a different tree that's next to you that's just starting to bud. And after you kind of realize, now you should probably look where you're going, return your gaze to the street. You realize to your astonishment that there is an enormous elephant coming straight at you. And after you get over your deer in the headlight shock of an elephant being in the middle of Colorado or Newark, you realize that there is a rider atop the elephant with reins in hand. So who's in charge? Is it the rider or the elephant? I really wish I could say that I made this up. I didn't. This comes from Dr. Jonathan Haidt, Happiness Hypothesis and the Righteous Mind. These are two really great books. If you haven't read them, I highly recommend it. He is a professor of psychology and neuroscience at the Stern School of Business at NYU, and he uses this allegory as a way for understanding the brain. For Dr. Jonathan Haidt, I'll pop some things up on the screen for you. The elephant represents our vast neurobiological processes, often at work and underline our behavior at any one moment in time. While the rider represents our, conscious reason processes that often thinks it has the reins in hand. Yeah. So the elephant represents our vast neurobiological processes, often underlying our behavior, while the rider represents our reason conscious processes that thinks it has the reins in hand. So for the next few weeks together, I'm going to be referring to the elephant and the rider to represent these two systems. Cool. Okay. What systems am I talking about? You have others. Daniel Kahneman, among others, thinking fast and slow. You might be, right? Thanks, Jacqueline. Yeah, familiar with it, put in a different way, where the elephant is system one. Fast, unconscious, associative, autopilot. We often think about this in terms of emotions, our limbic system, our unconscious, our implicit realm. Yeah. System two, slower, takes effort, tends to be more logical, thoughtful, rational, and at some points indecisive. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. System one is your elephant, system two is your rider. And these are like enormous generalities, right? The brain is ultimately a system with extraordinary complexity, but for our purposes, we're going to be talking about the brain in terms of these two systems. Would you believe me if 40 to 90% of everything we do is unconscious? You know, when I first learned this, I have to say, I was really pretty shocked about this, right? Like 40 to 90%, that's quite the range. Some of you might be asking why I'm saying 40 to 90%. And this largely depends on who you're reading, you know. Is what we're talking about our heart rate and breathing patterns? Is what we're talking about the way in which I habitually cross my legs when I sit down? Is what I'm talking about the way in which I treat somebody who looks different from me for the first time? 40 to 90%. And even if we go on the low end of that spectrum and we say 50% of everything we do is unconscious, holy smokes, friends, what? That's like half of everything we do. That's like half of everything we do, right? And why is that? Because at any given moment, our brain, your system one, is processing 11 million bits of information. Your rider can only consciously process 40. So to handle what would otherwise be an overwhelming amount of information, your brain shunts the majority of those processes into your unconscious mind. Yeah. 40 to 90% of everything we do is unconscious, which brings us to our first concept of this series.